So I dropped out of college about 20 years ago, and I had the idea for this video because I was in Ashland, Virginia yesterday, biking around, walking around. Randolph-Macon had their, I guess, parent-teacher graduation, so there were still some students around. And I saw this young girl, I don't know how old she was, she could have been 18 to 22, and I thought to myself, that's a child. Just kind of a weird realization at 41 that I would have viewed myself as an adult at 18, but I see that same young person as a child now. So I went to college. I graduated high school in 2003, and back then there was intense pressure to go to college. It was seen as the golden ticket. Everyone in the middle class, you had to send your kid to school or else they'd be some kind of failure. This was an era where coming of age movies with regards to college were very common. You know, you had the American Pie series of movies. A lot of these movies you all, if you're younger and watching this video, wouldn't have even heard of because they don't really make them anymore. But usually they're kind of drunk comedies, you know, all about the crazy, wacky experiences people are having in college. I went to a very good private school, a college preparatory school, and everyone went to college. There wasn't really an option for alternatives. And so I applied to a few schools. I ended up going to Virginia Polytechnic Institute, which is a pretty credible school. Most people know them from their college football game. But the experience upon going to college is very different from any kind of reality of what you expect. You know, when you go, it's kind of like a fresh experience. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of ambiguity. What will I do? Who will I meet? Just kind of that anticipation. There's an excitement there, but there's also a tension. But when you get there, the reality is very far different from anything you'd really hope for. At least I think for me, and I think for a lot of other students. So the first weird thing is dorms. You know, you go and you have this roommate that you've never met before. You're basically bunkmates, like you're in a prison or you're in some type of military camp. And ironically, I actually was in an all boys dorm, the only single gender dorm. It was on the far side of campus. They kind of have like an ROTC military kind of thing going on. And that was one of the quads. It's since been torn down. I think it was Thomas or Newman Hall. You went to your classes. There are surface interactions, but people by and large didn't really care about each other. You know, I tried going to a few clubs at the start. I certainly wasn't going to join a fraternity. I mean, it's just kind of sad. Just a bunch of people bonding over drinking. So over a while, after a few months, the loneliness just kind of eats at you. You're thrown out on your own for the first time. At home, you have a support structure. Maybe you had friends in school. Maybe you had, your parents probably loved you if they sent you to school in the first place. You had regular meal times, regular bedtimes, that sort of thing. And just none of that exists, a complete absence of any structure, any kind of compassion, any kind of care. And I think there are probably a good percent of students who don't thrive in that sort of environment. And the other thing I noticed was just the kind of fakeness of it. While college was promised as this great opportunity to reach the next level up in your professional, or the reality is they were really selling an inferior, outdated product. And I think a lot of people see that nowadays. There's a lot of videos out there. Is college worth it? College is a waste of time, et cetera, et cetera. So people realize that maybe people are being sold a false bill of goods when the saying is just, oh, college is good for the sake of college. Not that I'm against education. I'm very pro-education, but there are many different ways to get education. So a lot of the professors didn't really care either. And by the time I finally switched to a business major right before I dropped out, I mean, a lot of these business courses I was taking were a complete joke. I was the kind of person who was out there in my teen years. I was selling on eBay already as a 13-year-old, or trying to flip stuff. I'd buy things at a store and sell them on eBay for a profit. I would, call a shop, oh, do you have any of these type of Pokemon cards? This was back in the OG Pokemon card days, like the first 3 series. And they'd be like, yeah, I'm selling them for $1. And I call another shop and they'd be like, hey, would you be willing to buy some cases of Pokemon cards? Oh, yeah. And you'd like arbitrage the difference between those two stores. I was doing stuff like that at a very young age, trying to figure out the mechanics of business. And then I saw the stuff they were teaching in college. And I'm like, this stuff is all obsolete as you're teaching it. And I can't imagine what it's like now with AI. Like, what do you think most professions are going to be in 4 years? I can make another video talking about what the experience itself of dropping out was. But I just want to cover a little bit about, the social isolation, kind of just the waste of money and the vapidity of the whole experience and how empty it was for me personally. And so I'd be interested in hearing from any younger people who, do you have similar experiences 20 years later? Is it even worse compared to what what you expected? Um, what kind of issues are you going through? Do you had a lot of issues with loneliness, or kind of feeling that a traditional 4-year college is full of broken promises or not what you expected?